Or just yet? The time is 7. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Hope you're all having a great morning today. I do have a person who's going to inspire us today, Nancy Ferry. Would you like to come on down and inspire us to get us going this morning?
I will do that. Morning, fellow Toastmasters. What a great day to wake up. And what a great place to come to and get up for, right? AM Lockport, worth getting up for. Every day is a celebration. We get up. My dog reminds me. I have my little Maya with me this morning. I don't know if you can see her, but it reminds me that a leaf is a celebration. A squirrel is a celebration. Clouds floating by can be a celebration. Anything can be a celebration. And today we are here. We're breathing. We're active in AM Lockport. What else is there to celebrate? Celebrate every moment. We never know how long we are here.
Thank you, Nancy. I'd like to do the pledge to the flag. Everybody rise. Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any announcements today? Sometimes I do announcements at the beginning. Sometimes I do them at the end. Wait to see more people gather. I know we should kind of list people that are here and people that are out there on Zoom. So I will do what we have here so far. We have Mike Licata, our Toastmaster, Sylvia, Jackie, Beth Banks, Nancy Ferry, Joe Budnack, Phil Russell, and Len Thornton. Online, I see them all now. Thank you, Len. That was helpful. Steve Smith, David Jones, Margot Bittner, Carol Holstead, Nancy Rose, Eric Schneider, Jen Zappa, and Kate Orr. Please welcome our Toastmaster, Mike Licata, today.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. And I don't see any guests this morning. When I was planning this week's meeting, it was one of those things where when you look for a theme, you try to figure out what interests I have, what's going on in the month of July. So I just decided to Google national holidays during July, and I found a very handy list of things that get celebrated on July 28th. And the most interesting, I found out that actually July 28th is actually Buffalo Soldiers Day, which I found fascinating because the Buffalo Soldiers were a piece of history that gets forgotten. And it is an important achievement to celebrate the first African-American soldiers that actually fought, the freed slaves and freedmen that fought for the Union during the Civil War in the 1860s. So I found it important to bring that to light today on its day of days. And with that, I will go into our job holders this morning. First, I will pick out Jen Zappa, who is our master this morning. Jen, if you want to.
Yes, I will be your master today, which means I will be counting your ums, ahs, any long pauses you may have, or any other filler words that you as an individual happen to use more than others. That's all I'll be doing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And stepping in this morning to be our grammarian is Kate Orr.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I'll be listening for excellent uses of grammar. Avoid poor uses of grammar. I don't want to make note of that. And I will report back at the end of the meeting. And I'll make one quick announcement that next Friday evening, we are doing Shakespeare in the Park again. I sent out an email yesterday and a Facebook event, but if you are not on email or Facebook, it's next Friday evening, one of the most commonly known comedies, Midsummer Night's Dream. If you have questions, let me know, and me or Eric, because we'll be definitely there. Next Friday, August 5th, the play is free at Shakespeare in Delaware Park at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, thank you, Kate. And now we'll go to our quote master this morning, Margot Bittner.
Good morning, Mike. I guess we don't have a word master. I was looking forward to using a word.
Yeah, he's not.
And at the winery every month, I put out a newsletter with all kinds of funky holidays and encourage people to come in. For example, August 1st is BFF Day, so bring your BFF for a tasting. So I found this quote about them. Life is made of precious moments. All we have to do is celebrate them every day. Why should we celebrate certain things at certain times? We don't need extra celebrations on anything, as every moment is a great celebration to celebrate that we're just alive. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Margot. And now I will turn to our gesture this morning, Nancy Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good morning, Toastmasters, or fellow Toastmasters. Sorry about that. Just to keep the summertime vibe, I have a couple jokes for you. They're a little silly. I've never done this before, or really, I'm not very good at telling jokes, so I kept them simple. So I hope it perks you up this morning. The first one is, why did the banana put on sunscreen? Anybody? Because they peel. Okay. The next one is, what do you do if your employment application gets rejected at the sunscreen factory? You reapply. I thought that was good. And one more if you want one more. What did the pig say on a hot summer day at the beach? I'm bacon. So they have a good morning, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Nancy. And we move on to our tech and gesture master, Carol Ann Halstead.
Today, I will be reporting on the use of technology, audio and visual, and I will be noting how the speeches or any talks given are enhanced by gestures. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. And I have a quick housekeeping. Nobody signed up for Quizmaster, so I wasn't sure if we had a volunteer or not. Anybody in the room or online would like to be the Quizmaster? Anyway, Tracy? All right. Tracy Farrell is graciously volunteered to be Quizmaster, and if you'd like to come up and give us your role this morning.
Mr. Toastmaster, I will be Quizmaster today. I will be listening intently to everybody's speeches anytime they talk, and there will be a quiz at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
All right, and I will now turn to our word master this morning, Dave Licata. You have to write on the board. What is it? You know how Michael is. Docket. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The word of the day is docket, D-O-C-K-E-T. A formal abridged record of the proceedings of a legal action, a register of such records. You want to use it as a verb to place on the docket for legal action, but it's not just limited to the courthouse. So you can say things like, on the Broadway docket for the early part of the season, et cetera, and so on, is a return of another classic musical because they can't come up with anything new. I am immediately leaving for the Lockport Sunrise Golf Outing. And my dear friend Joe Budnick will now be word master. Let's hear it for Joe. Thank you, everybody. Tracy, I'm sorry, real quick, would you like to introduce your guest this morning, and then we can do that?
So today with me, I have Bella. She is just 16 years old. She's working in my office as an intern. And she talked about DECA, and I said, well, I go to Toastmasters on Thursday mornings. So she said she was going to join us today. So I'm really glad that Bella's here. I would take 5 of her over a lot of the employees we have in the city. She's been doing a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And I will introduce our timer this morning, David Jones.
I believe I'm next on the docket, so I will therefore explain my role. Obviously, I think all of our speeches are 5 to 7 minutes, and at 5 minutes, I'm going to hit the green and yellow at 6 and red at 7. You have a 30-second grace period on either side. And same with evaluations and table topics. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, David. And also this morning, I will introduce our general evaluator this morning is Joe Budnick.
So yes, I'm playing a dual role this morning as word master and general evaluator. I will be evaluating the evaluators and the general tone of the meeting. And best of luck to all our speakers today. I know you will all do well. Thank you.
Now, in doing some of my research today, I also found it interesting that today is actually National Milk Chocolate Day, which proves the point that everyone has its day, including everything. So with that, I will introduce our table topics master this morning. She graciously stepped up yesterday. Our table topics this morning is Jackie Kent.
Thank you, sir. Morning, everyone. You know, the rule is if you have one of the smaller, less time-consuming jobs, you can still be called on for table topics. Just letting you know. As Michael said, every holiday has a significant meaning. We have National Refreshment Day today. I know that's probably an important day for many people. My refreshment, of course, is a nice cup of tea or possibly over ice. So I'm thinking that Eric hopefully is there this morning and hearing us, and he would like to tell us a little bit about what his favorite refreshment is on a hot summer day. Eric Schneider. Are we going to hear from Eric?
Good morning, Jackie.
Don't forget to use the word docket when you're telling us about your favorite refreshment.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Table topics master. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My favorite drinks in the summer, of course, the old fashioned lemonade, or you can have the brisk iced tea, or you just have just plain water because this has been somewhat of a hot summer, but I would use all sorts of them. Next on the docket is putting strawberries into your lemonade. And now if you guys go to Red Robin, you get those freckle lemonade with strawberries, and I can drink about let's say 5 or 6 of them until my mother cuts me off and say, no, you drink water now. So freckle lemonade and iced tea really soothes you down, especially on a hot day like it is outside right now. If you want it for breakfast, I would do it because, hey, it's okay to try it once in a while. You only live once. So take it from me. All those that's all my favorite drinks for the summer. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Eric. One of the other holidays we're celebrating today is National Water Park Day. A lot of fun and a good way to cool off. So I think probably Thomas Heldwine has a story about a water park for us. Thomas. And again, don't forget the word docket. Did we lose him?
Video turned off. Here, but he's not.
All right. We'll pass Thomas by. And let's see. I'm thinking Nancy Rose might want to come back and tell us about any water park experiences she's had. Nancy, go ahead.
Well, I thank you. A water park experience. I guess it goes back to my childhood. I would say probably when we used to make water parks in our backyard with sprinklers and try to charge 10 cents for everybody to get in. That would be my first experience. And then they got bigger. I would say maybe in the 80s when my parents used to take us to water parks. Maybe it was Fantasy Island and they put in their water park. That would probably be my earliest experience where it was technically official. I remember going up the stairs and finding it very hard. I don't think it was in great shape. So I think maybe I took a couple runs down. And I remember taking my daughter to a water park in Splash Park in Florida. And the force was so fast for her. She was a little tiny thing, even in 3rd grade. It whipped her off the side and she went all the way down the rail into the water. So that was pretty interesting. And believe it or not, she wanted to go up about 5 more times. So that was a lot of exercise for all of us. And I would say my last one that is on the docket is when I went to the Bahamas and went to, I have to think of the name, this big resort, very famous, with a casino, and they had a water slide with sharks. It was definitely back when it was first built. And I remember climbing up, but I didn't want to have anything to do with sharks, but I went through the tunnel and I experienced the sharks. So it was really interesting and I'm glad I did it. So thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. We generally try to have 3 participants, so I'm wondering if Bella might like to take a turn at the docket. Since you know what we do. Remember that we require you to use the word of the day, docket. And I'm going to ask you to tell us about summer celebrations my family has many, many birthdays in the summertime. And our favorite way to celebrate is my birthday, when we have strawberry shortcake right in the middle of June. So tell us about your family celebration.
So my cousin just got her driver's license. It's a very big deal because I am scared to drive. So it's very exciting. And one of our summer celebrations is that we go to Starbucks and we go to Barnes and Noble and we look at all the books. And the only thing is that I'm lactose intolerant. So Starbucks is not a great idea twice a week. But, so I might have to docket a few points for that. But I really enjoy it. And it's really nice to spend time with her because she works a lot to afford her little beetle that is currently out of commission. I'm very sad. And after we go to Barnes and Noble, we go to see. This is hard. Good for you guys. Okay. This is challenging. Okay. And then we go to Target and we spend money that we should not be spending because you should save money. But good thing I don't have a bank account, guys. This is really great. And then we go home and we sleep over and we watch the Hannah Montana movie. So that's really great. Do I have to keep talking? Am I on time? Do I need to add more? Oh, the light. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So this weekend I went to Dairy. Oh, yay!
Thank you, Bella. That was great. And she got the word of the day in. So now we need a timers report. David Jones, would you provide that for us, please?
Yes, Eric came in at 116. He qualifies with the buffer. Nancy also qualifies with the buffer at 203, and Bella came in at 131. So all three of them qualify.
Thank you. And Joe, can you tell us how the word did for our participants?
Thank you, Jackie. The word did great. All three of our contestants used docket. Good job, guys.
Joe says they all qualify, so you can vote for Eric, Nancy Rose, or Bella. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. And we will tabulate the votes here in the room and make sure that Lynn gets the votes online. Now, in doing some other research this morning, I found out that it is National Water Park Day, like Jackie said, and I always found that interesting that they would give that in. I mean, they picked the right month because everyone does have those experiences at water parks. That was actually my favorite part of going to Darien Lake as a kid, and I wasn't a huge fan of the roller coasters. So I usually spent more than half the day at the water park area because the wave pool was always a good time. You always feel refreshed getting out of it. And I learned to, as I got older, I learned to appreciate the lazy river a little bit more as well. So I do encourage going to water parks this time of year because of the holidays. And interesting enough, through my research too, I found that tomorrow might be my favorite holiday, and the fact that it's National Chicken Wing Day. And that could start a debate in another meeting that could last a lot longer than an hour and a half. So with that, I will call up Les Robinson today. I believe he's online to introduce our first speaker this morning. Les.
Good morning. I'm Gerald Stevens. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Gerald Stevens is going to be doing the speech from the Pathways, and its speech title is Crossroads. And it's going to be 5 to 7 minutes. And it's our dramatic leadership pathways, understanding your communication style, 5 to 7 minutes. Gerald Stevens.
Thank you, Les. Our newly crowned president of the club, Dr. Stevens, has already gotten his DTM, but he's well on his way to his next one. So I will introduce Crossroads. Dr. Jill Stevens, Crossroads.
Morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guest Bella. Crossroads. We all come across a few crossroads in our lives, and we have to decide, should I turn right? Should I turn left? What choice should I make? I like to tell my kids, you make choices and your choices make you. And that is true. When I drive around different places, and past weekend I went to the Adirondacks, and I'm driving. I should be looking at the traffic, right? But I was not doing that. I was looking at the different crossroads, but also thinking about the metaphor, crossroads. What decisions have I made that made me? What choices have I made? What choices do others make? Sometimes they take a wrong turn. Sometimes they make a series of wrong turns. So does that make a person successful? Does it make this person not successful? Maybe even have severe problems in life. So I think about different people like that. Why was this person successful? And I thought about myself, why am I where I am today? So I'll talk about that today in my direct communication style. And these are the series of things I have on my docket. First thing I think that influenced my life was Boy Scouts. So I made a decision to join Boy Scouts. Lots of good role models. We talk a lot about mentors, but role models are also equally important, I think, to have people in your life that you can model. And there were some scouts there that I modeled and some leaders that I modeled in the group. They were very successful. They showed strong leadership skills and communication skills. We even had members of the group that raised money to buy a bus. And we're able to go to Washington and Boston and Gettysburg, all these places. Got a sponsor. These are people that are organized, goal setters. Emulate these guys, the people that know what they're doing. That's the thing I think people have to do, emulate successful people. Next step, went 3,000 miles, took a bold and daring choice. Took one chance, just one chance, to go all the way across to California. 3,000 miles, University of California, Riverside. 17 years old, Bella, 17. She is cringing at the thought of that. So I did that, and I had some relatives over there, and times were pretty good. I mean, still struggles, had to learn fast, had to work hard, got through that, and joined a club called the Outdoor Club. And in that club, I met a lot of friends, lifelong friends actually, and I got my first taste of the national parks that I've spoken many times about. Yellowstone, Yosemite, Grand Canyon, those kind of places. And it's like, oh, the world is amazing. Nature's amazing. This will be one of my lifelong goals to keep exploring. Next step in life, I took another bold choice. I went over to England, did that for a year, senior year abroad. And I was like, okay, this is a little scary. Never been anywhere else except for Canada, if you count that as another country. Because I am half Canadian. So anyway, went over there and I expanded myself. I learned a lot about culture, a lot about art, a lot about different things. I made a choice to explore. This is where Indiana Stevens was born. I've done speeches, Bella, with the Indiana Jones hat, just so you know. So that's where he was born. What else? Other choices did I make? Career choices. I chose many different choices to get to the career I am today. Not always right choices. It's okay to make a wrong choice. But if it is a wrong choice, you need to make a correction. So at first I decided to be a researcher, and I explored that. I said, oh, the theory of research is great. Science is amazing. Problem with that, the day-to-day, boring for me. Pipetting every day, boring. Nobody in the lab. Very frustrating stuff. And if you're not a good writer, not for you. Because you need to get money from people to do research. And if you're not a great writer, which I'm an okay writer, not a great writer, Other people are great writers. Guess who's getting that money? It's going to be them. Change course. Did a little bit in the military. Good for discipline, good camaraderie, good for leadership skills. But you have to deal with the day in, day in and out bureaucracy of the government. Tracy probably gave a whole speech about that, I thought, working for the city, I believe. What next? Okay, well, I got to do something else. I don't like any of this stuff. How about chiropractic? That seems like a quick right turn, doesn't it? But I was always interested in fitness and nutrition and running and all those kind of things. And chiropractic kind of has a lot of that in there, and trying to make people healthy. A lot of satisfaction for patients, a lot of satisfaction for practitioners. Looked into the ins and outs of that, gave that a try. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. People are getting better, and making an impact on the world. That was important to me. To increase that impact, I thought, locally, they have a chiropractic college. And I looked into that a little bit. If I taught all these people to do chiropractic better and to help people in a better way, I'll have a bigger impact on the world. Made a choice to do that. Well, what am I going to do now? Okay, so I've done chiropractic, and through chiropractic, it led to leadership opportunities in various portions, local, state, and national. And I've done some leadership stuff. Like, I'm 52. Do I really want to do more? I'm at a crossroads, fellow Toastmasters. Toastmasters has helped me along the way as well. I did want to point that out. Very important in improving my confidence, leadership skills, and public speaking. Those all played a part into what I do today. Should I become a professional speaker? I could do a little of that. Do I want to fill my schedule so full that my wife will divorce me? No, I do not want to do that. So, fellow Toastmasters, I have to figure out what I'm going to do next. Crossroads I'm at, and you may be as well. Look forward to hearing about your choices in life. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. And introducing our next speaker, Steve Smith, this morning is Sylvia Baptiste.
Morning. Steve is working on his Pathways humor speeches, and I'm looking forward to the speech. It's, how could weeds be so humorous? But he is going to put a spin on it for us. His speech will be 5 to 7 minutes, and his title is A Growing Concern. Stephen Smith.
Okay, I guess we're all set. Thank you. Now, my last speech, I talked about weeds, and I generated the illusion that you can win the war against weeds. You can't. It occurred to me, I've been waging this war for the better part of my 68 years on this earth. And the fact that I'm still fighting it ought to be a clue into the fact that you're not going to win. Now, why aren't you going to win? Because the weeds are smarter than we are. Let me take, for example, this is swamp milkweed. Grows all over out in my garden. You see this? There are two plants coming off this same root. Now I pulled this thing up. I broke the root here. What's this going to do? It's going to keep growing right here where I broke it. Why waste my time? It'll just keep growing. Now also, we're told not to pull this stuff up because monarch butterflies need this. Well, that's fine. I like monarch butterflies, but I don't like weeds in my peppers that are taller than my peppers are. It defeats the whole purpose of planting the peppers. Now you want another exercise in futility. These lovely things, horsetail ferns. Same thing. See those roots? They go down forever. I pull that up. They're just going to keep growing from where they broke off and keep going up. You want to control these? Forget it. You cannot. They just keep growing. But the whole concept of what is a weed blurs the picture. This is amaranth, also known as red root, pigweed, and a page full of other names. I'm not going to call it pigweed. Many plants are called pigweed because pigs will eat them. And I worked on a pig farm for 6 years, and I'm here to tell you there are darn few things a pig will not eat. So identifying something by the fact that a pig will eat it is of relatively little help. Because this totally different plant, lamb's quarter, is also called pigweed. Now the difference in some of these, this has got a big seed head on it. This is full of hundreds of little black seeds. This was actually grown as a crop for years, and this seed was used as a flower substitute. But you see, these start out as cute little plants. This is still a small one. These get up as tall as I do if you leave them alone. Another insidious friend is this cute stuff. This is called fall panaceum. Isn't that nice? Cute little grass. It's actually quite a pretty plant. It develops purple on the stems. But if you leave that just on the ground, doesn't look too bad. If you leave it, turns into this. Big sprawling plant. And it gets worse than that. Every place this plant spreads out, I think you can see that. That juncture will touch the ground and it will root and just keep spreading. And it'll take up a wide area. Then if you try to pull this thing up, you'll pull up your plants and everything in the surrounding area trying to get this out. And if you don't get all that root, that too will keep growing. My point in all this is we keep weeding. The best we can do is hope to stay ahead of them, which I need to do. I'm going to Michigan next week. And if I don't do all this weeding now, when I come back, my whole garden's going to look like this. I don't want that. Now, I mentioned lamb's quarter. This is another nice little plant, isn't it? It's pretty. That will also grow up to 4 or 5 foot tall. Book says like 4 foot. These plants never read the book. They get a lot bigger than that if you let them. And they also develop a big seed head full of seeds. That's the other reason you can't win against this. These seed heads will dump their seeds in the fall. Those seeds stay viable in the ground for over 40 years. And if you stir up the ground by pulling this one, you bring some more seeds up. They're going to keep growing. You'll still have problems. Now, one nice thing about these plants, this is edible. When they're this size, and when the amaranth is this size, you can eat these things. Here's another very common plant. This is called purslane or pusley and many other names. This is actually quite a beautiful plant. It's like a ground clover. It'll sprawl out over the ground, get these cute little yellow flowers on it. But this is almost impossible to eradicate. You see that nice taproot? If I just pull that up, it'll keep growing. If I pull this thing up, lay it on the ground, that root will stay in the ground, and this thing will straighten right back up and keep growing. My point in all this, you try to stay ahead of them. Any of these articles that tell you you can win the war against weeds are lying to you. It's not going to happen. But the fact that some of these plants are edible, maybe that lies the solution. If you can't beat them, eat them. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Steve. In introducing our next speaker, our third speaker this morning is Beth Banks, introducing Phil Russell.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I will be evaluating Phil Russell. He is working in the Pathways Innovative Planning. An Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. His project title is I Learned Something. So Phil Russell, I learned something.
Thank you. Phil wrote an intro, so I don't want to miss it this morning. Phil's going to talk about one of his two mentors in his coaching career. For a 20-year career in coaching, I did learn something. The question is, did I do everything I was taught? Phil Russell, I learned something.
Over 40 years of coaching, I had two mentors. One of them, you know, is a local legend, Les Dugan, in football. The other one is a national legend, Ed Doherty, who you probably don't know about. That's why I'm going to focus on Ed, because he taught me a lot about communications. One of the reasons I got into Toastmasters. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, our guest. I met Ed at South Point Catholic High School, Tucson, Arizona. The first thing he told me is, why don't you get out of football, go out and make a lot of money, because you can always coach football. He was right. You can always coach football at any age, any time. Ed was a legend because he coached from the top to the bottom, high school to college to professionals at all levels. West Coast, California, East Coast to Holy Cross, Boston College. All over the place and everywhere in between. Now, those two mentors, they had one thing in common. They were great men. And they were both World War II vets. And so they had a lot of character, a lot of experience. Ed, you go over to his house on Sunday afternoon, and this was before the modern technology. There'd be like 4 televisions there on Sunday afternoon. And he'd be watching all 4 of them, a different game on each one, and he would be playing classical music. And his other hobby was he loved bullfighting. You figure it out. He was an interesting person. When he was at Boston College, he majored in English, and he stressed how important communication is in football and in everything.
Yeah.
He's called in his college career and later on in his coaching career, kept the same nickname, the Brain. The Brain. And he was. He was innovative everywhere he went. He's given credit. If you know football, you might have heard about the I formation. He's the one that invented it. That's how innovative he was. It was amazing. Another story about Ed, when he was a terrible driver. When you got a car with him, but everybody else was wrong. He was a terrible driver. And we would learn so much from him every time we went there. We would learn something because of his teaching ability and because he was always trying to let you know what was going on. When you talk about communication, all you have to do in football is think about the Buffalo Bills 13 seconds last year. They didn't communicate from a head coach to the guy that was going to kick that football properly. So he kicked it away. 13 seconds is a lifetime in the professional football world, in the college football, and even in the high school. I've seen it happen where 2 touchdowns are scored within seconds. It's amazing. And he would teach us all of this about communication. He was thinking up things. Well, let me give you an example. In Tucson, on Friday and Saturday, Thursday, Friday, we would be running an offense that you're seeing on television today in professionals. That's how innovative he was. And he always worked with names so you could communicate easily out there. It was amazing. So communication, that's one of the reasons I got into Toastmasters, communication. And he would stress this communication so much. He was thinking up words that would be easily transmitted from the coach to the player so that you wouldn't get confused. And if you watch sports, the team that usually wins makes the least mistakes. It's a simple game. Don't make mistakes. Now, did I always listen to him? Not really. The one big thing I didn't listen to him on, he said, get out of coaching. He says, you can always coach. Well, I didn't. I ended my career 6 years later after I left there. And I was glad I did. And I ended it there. What was good about that fact that I didn't listen to him? I would not want to coach today for all the tea in China. The reason that was, we all wanted to win, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Phil. And now I will turn to David Jones for a timers report. Or is he still?
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, I'm good. Gerald Stevens came in at 7 minutes and 14 seconds. Steve came in at 5 minutes and 35 seconds. And Phil at 6:10, therefore they all qualify.
Thank you, David. And collect the votes here in the room and do so online. Now, I think one of the reasons, figure it out in my research, why Bella is here is because the fourth Thursday of the month of July is also National Intern Day. So I hope we get lunch out of today too, out of Tracy. I'm sure she can help out. Now, National Intern Day is important because it's good work experience for the future of everyone's professional, but there is also opportunities to learn a lot and learn about what you don't want to do going forward in your professional career. And it's important to acknowledge the backbone of a lot of offices. So it's also it's a good way to celebrate interns, because it's in the summertime when you have more interns depending on which industry. And the last item I have for today that gets celebrated is National Chili Dog Day, which I find interesting because I'm never really a chili dog fan. I think that if you have the opportunity to go to Cincinnati and you get Skyline Chili Dog, it's a good idea. Just make sure you have some Tums or Imodium handy afterwards, because it just depends on what your stomach can handle. And with that, I will introduce Les Robinson this morning, who will be evaluating Dr. Stevens. Les.
Thank you, Michael. Today I'm going to be evaluating Gerald Stevens. And one thing, I always enjoy Gerald's speeches because he has visualization, they're fun, they're excitement. And I always, two things, learn something new about Gerald, and watching him, I'm a DTM, he's a DTM, you're picking up little things that will make me a better speaker going forward. You see the interest and the enjoyment in the speeches, and basically he loves doing it. I like doing speeches, but you can see the enthusiasm, the visualization, the tone, the pitch. And even though I've been in Toastmasters a very long time, every time I hear Gerald speak, I'm learning something new. And one thing I really like about that is the energy he projects out, using the microphone, moving around, You can feel the energy and the excitement in his voice. It's a win-win. And that's where it really leads into one of his really big strengths is his visualization. Like I was in the Boy Scouts, he was in the Boy Scouts. I could see him in the bus going to the events where I visualized myself doing the same thing. I could see him trekking out to California and seeing like I'm going on this big adventure. I could see him sitting in the research and about writing. And I could almost visualize him sitting at a desk with his head down, just like, and I could see him going to Canada. That's the great thing about the power of his speech is that he brings you in, you get a visualization, you can see it, you can feel it. It's almost like reality, reality or the metaverse as Gerald speaks, as he pulls you in and you all of a sudden feel like you're in the same world as he is in. And that's a rarity in speaking. And that's one thing I love about his speeches is that his tone, his pitch, everything just brings you in, his body gestures. Now, the only thing I really had problem with his speech was that I lost him for a little bit. And I don't know if that was part of the speech, if that was supposed to be done or not. I didn't like that in the speech because it kind of, the visualization more took place. Maybe that's what he was trying to project, but it was just kind of weird that you lost him and he talked on that. But his gestures, I liked how he held the microphone, his sense of humor. I love his sense of humor. It's a win-win across the board. The vision, the way he brings the whole speech together, he ties it in and then he puts it in a nice little bow and he calls it Crossroads. And what he's talked about for the past 5 to 7 minutes, you can feel the speech, you can visualize it. And that's the great thing about Gerald is that it's a great speech. You learn something new about him and you feel like you're right beside him at every adventure. Thank you very much. Great speech, Gerald.
Thank you, Les. And next, I will introduce Sylvia, who will be evaluating Steve this morning. Sylvia.
Steve, what a great speech. A growing concern. For anyone who owns a home, has property, we know how you feel with weeds. It is, what is a weed? Is it a flower or is it a weed? And that's my problem. So doing a speech also on Zoom is awful difficult. It is hard to make sure your technology is going to work. I always worry about it the night before. What if my internet's not working? What if my computer's not working? What if I can't sign in? All these issues. And you were on well in advance to make sure your computer was working well. And also you had clear speech. Your picture was very clear. Your background was perfect for the speech today. Being outside and having all that greenery behind you, and Jill also behind you, we enjoyed it. The first thing I think I would have done to give you a little bit of a change is try the night before to put the camera up a little bit higher. We saw the top of your head a lot. Not that we didn't want to see you, but as you were bringing the your weeds or edible plants up, you didn't have the eye contact with us as much as I think I would like to see. You got a little more comfortable middle of your speech. We've seen the eye contact, and I could tell that you were at that time very comfortable. Other than that, Steve, I can't find anything else to ask you to work on. Your closing was perfect. It had the great ending to it, perfect timing. You didn't go over your speech in minutes, and it was well rehearsed. Good job. Thank you.
Sylvia, and I'll leave the mic down here next because our next evaluator is Beth Banks evaluating Phil Russell. Sorry. I mean, this is this picks everything up, right? It's a good mark.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, Phil Russell. I don't know whether it's easy or difficult to evaluate him because he's been doing this for so long. What do you say? Obviously, we all like when someone comes in front of the lectern, uses the hands-free, you can really see the gestures. That was one thing I really liked. I liked the directional gestures he gave. When he talked about east-west, he gave you east, west. So that to me, it was really good. You answered your question. Did I do everything I was taught? We probably should all ask ourselves that on a regular basis. But you did answer that. I think sometimes we get so involved in our speech and we did have a question, but we don't necessarily get to that answer. You got to that answer. That was good. Couple of things to work on. You do like the phrase, it was amazing. So you did use that a few times, a couple little restarts, but that went very quickly. I felt it ended quickly, that you were almost pushing things to get it ended quickly. The only thing I would have liked to have seen, I know what an I formation is because I am a big football fan. Maybe you could have had a diagram as coaches have their diagrams of what a formation is and what a play is. Just if there is anyone in the room who isn't that familiar with football, they would have understood that a little bit. But that would be my only recommendation. It's always fun listening to your stories and your mentoring. Thank you, Phil Russell.
Thank you, Beth. And now I will turn to our timer one last time, David Jones. David, how did our evaluators do?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Les came in at 3 minutes and 20 seconds with the buffer he qualified, and Sylvia and Beth both came in at 2:03, so everybody qualified.
Thank you very much. And with that, I will give him a couple of seconds, but I will invite up our general evaluator this morning, who is gracious enough to do 2 jobs this morning, Joe Budnick.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, as for my job as word master, it seemed like docket seemed to have fizzled after a while, but all 3 of our table topics contestants did use it, so that is a good thing. So it's an interesting topic that we had today, various holidays that we never heard of, especially annual chicken wing day. That would get me in trouble. I think my love for chicken wings probably cost me my gallbladder a couple years ago. They said it was caused by eating habits. I don't doubt it for a minute. But all 3 of our evaluators did a wonderful job. They all used the sandwich approach, which is a good thing to do. I also liked how Les Robinson, even though Les, you were online, you still did a good job and was very clear and concise. Sometimes when you're online, that's always sometimes can be very difficult. I liked how you pointed out what's special about Gerald's speeches and how his enthusiasm and how we always learn something new. Sylvia, I liked how you showed empathy as far as being aggravated with weeds go and with being a homeowner. Yeah, exactly. And I know what it's like to have weeds because I'm the one that has to mow the lawn by hand in my yard. So weeds are a pain in the neck. And I also like how you pointed out his background. It was really unique especially being out in nature like that, talking about weeds. So I thought that was an interesting angle, and I liked how you pointed that out. And Beth, I like how you pointed out that Gerald has a lot of experience, or not Gerald, I'm sorry, that Phil he's a very seasoned Toastmaster, and that came through in his speech. And I like your enthusiasm, and you were clear and concise, and I think that's the teacher in you, making sure everyone's attention. Yes, I had you as a math teacher, and the fact that I'm horrible at math and you made it bearable, you were truly gifted as a teacher, and I thank you. So all in all of our evaluators did a wonderful job, and so did our speakers, and it was a great meeting. So have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And working backwards on our agenda this morning, calling for reports, I will call first on Carolyn Halstead. How did we do with our gestures and technology this morning?
I did notice at first that Nancy Ferry was looking around the room at the audience a little bit more than looking at the Zoom audience. Mike, you did just a little bit of hand wringing, but it was minimal. Jen, your background, when I first glanced at it, it kind of looked like some plant was coming out of your head. Tracy, I know it's a little difficult for her. She's got to get that mic way down, but I couldn't hear her too well the first time that she was at the mic. Eric sometimes looked away from the camera. And now Len, of course, with doing the evaluation, did have to do some reading, and his background, of course, the lights reflect in his glasses. Gerald, of course, was very animated. He moved to the front of the mic and could have hand gestures, and he always adds great facial expressions. And at times it seemed the camera was aimed toward the room a little bit more when someone was speaking. And I'm, of course, with Steve, the visuals with the plants. Jill in the background, let's see, did it add to it, or was she a bit of a distraction? Now Phil, using the headset mic, he did great gestures with both hands. And let's see. And I just wanted to mention, when giving reports, Joe Budnick, when he was just verifying that everyone used the word, he did stay at his seat. And of course, even though he didn't have too much to say, it's always better to come up to the lectern. And that is my report.
Thank you, Carolyn. And next I will invite up our quiz master. She was gracious enough to fill in, Tracy Farrell. How did we do? See how well we listened today.
Thank you. We'll find out how we did in our listening skills today. At the beginning of the docket today, I promised a quiz at the end. So we'll start off with everybody and everything gets their day. Can we name 6 things whose day is today? Yes,
Buffalo Soldiers.
oh, maybe, okay.
Chili dog day.
Yes,
Milk chocolate.
yes,
Chicken wing.
yes. Refreshment and National Intern Day. So which of these holidays cost Joe his gallbladder?
Oh, no.
Chicken wing day, all right. What type of car does Bella's cousin drive?
A beetle.
Absolutely. And how long has Steve been waging a war against those weeds? As long as he, for the past 68 years and for the rest of his life. Does anybody remember which 2 weeds he mentioned that are edible?
Amaranth.
Yes, amaranth and purslane. And how many years has Phil Russell coached football? 20. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
And now we'll invite our master, Jen Zappa, to give her report now.
Thank you, Mike. I did hear some ums, ahs, and lots of filler words today. I heard ums from Bella, Gerald, Joe, Carol. I also heard ands, so many ands today that I stopped counting. We all like to use and instead of completing a sentence. I think that may be our worst filler word that we all use. I believe everyone that spoke today used and at some point or another to extend their sentence. That is what I picked up on the most. Those are my comments for today. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Jen. And our grammarian this morning, Kate Orr, how did we do this morning with our grammar?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. And thank you, Jen, because she highlighted what stood out to me the most, a lot of filler words. And I almost said and. Pause, not and. I'm going to list the weaker words first because there were far more weaker words, unfortunately, today. Cause, gotta, wanna get something, wanna, about, you're, gonna, lotta, really, running, to 'em, kinda, cause, doing, really, trying, bringing, what do ya, really, 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 Let us try to avoid those. They're filler words too, or finish them. Enunciation is key. I heard some great words today. Emulate from Gerald, rarity from Les, verifying from Carol Ann, gracious from Mike Licata. I think as far as enunciation goes, today we could all learn a lot at every meeting from Joe. Joe, your enunciation is always very clear, and I didn't catch any dropped G's, etc. You also used the strongest language of anyone today. The top words I heard from Joe today: empathy, aggravated, fizzled, concise, and bearable. Elevate yourselves, be like Joe, enunciate like Joe. Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kate. And I believe I'll invite Joe up one last time to do the word. I think we caught Tracy used it. That's okay. Save the truth. I guess that's fine. I know we have plenty of time. I just wasn't sure. I try to facilitate more quickly than normal. So at this time, I will invite Bella up. You can either stand there or you just need to give us a report on what you thought of the meeting. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, am I timed for this? No. Okay, all right. It's a little easier. Okay. So I think originally I was a little bit confused by the timing because I was like, oh, green means you're good. But now I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think that you're just supposed to keep going till you're done. So that's really good to know in hindsight. Should I put it down? I don't know. Like props to you guys. This is really challenging, I think is the word that I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna try not to use because I'm pretty sure that I just used that word. So I'm working on it. Damn it. Okay. Anyways, so I think that this was really interesting and I should probably keep doing this because my public speaking is not great. And yeah, so this is really interesting. And I thought the weed segment was really interesting because I did not know that weeds were edible. And I thought that the crossroads, yeah, was very interesting because I thought how do I say it? Hold on. I'm not great with words. You would think that I would be for being in honors English, but no. But yeah, I think that it was just really interesting and your stage presence, I don't know if that's what you call it, was really good and informational. And I know nothing about sports, but I thought that it was really good. And yeah, that's all that I got.
Thank you, Bella. And I will now invite up our president this morning, Dr. Stevens, to hand out the awards. And I just want to encourage everyone to do a little research into random holidays. I think that it's important that we take the time, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes out of your day, to make sure that you try to learn something new every day and learn to appreciate the history so that we can learn from it and grow going forward. And with that, I will hand it off to our president this morning.
Thank you, Mike. Interestingly, at work, I found out that my students use the word of the week. So that's interesting. And they did this spontaneously. So now I have connected Toastmasters to that. And I'm trying to get some of them to go to Toastmasters. Lockport's a bit of a ways for them, but maybe closer. We'll see. Kerfuffle is the word of the week there, by the way, which is basically confusion and craziness. So that fits in sometimes with students' life. But you could also use that word if you want for the week. But that's pretty good. So we do have some winners today. Our best evaluator is Beth Banks. Round of applause. And a ribbon for Beth. Good job, Beth. Our best speaker is Steve Smith. Congratulations online. Excellent job. I like that Steve stood up for the applause too. That was pretty cool. The old actor in him, I think, coming out. And the best table topics is Bella. You won best table topics. Congratulations. Yeah, we'll have Bella. Our winner is online, so we can't pick. For our raffle, split club, yes, and I will, that's okay. Just hand it to me, please. Thank you so much, Bella. I appreciate it. That's okay. Our winning number today is 345430.
Margo.
Is it Margo? It's not Margo. Margo's not here. Oh, is it Margo?
No, it's online.
Oh, it is Margo. Hey, Margo, that's right. You got split club for the year, I believe. So congratulations, Margo. You're the winner.
Thank you. Just pass it to Mike. He can bring it to work.
Okay, Mike,
Or Joe. Joe's working today too.
pass it to Joe. The money's been passed to Joe, so he will transfer the money to you. Looking ahead at the schedule, I noticed the next 2 weeks, we have Krista Glopper Banks and Larry McKenzie as Toastmasters. Do we think Chris is going to be coming in? I know she was kind of out for a bit at work, and we need to research that.
She would probably appreciate someone else doing it because she has also not been Toastmaster yet. I don't think after such a long break because of her new position, that she wants to roll right back in with being Toastmaster, is my guess.
Okay. And the week after that is Larry McKenzie, who has been out with health issues. So we have 2 positions kind of next couple of weeks for Toastmasters. So do we have a volunteer for next week in place of Christopher Banks? Or do we have to?
I think Steve is raising his hand. Steve, is that a hand raise?
Is that correct, Steve? You're volunteering?
He had his hand up, but it was on a bar, I guess.
No, he's not gonna be here at all.
Oh, they're on swings. His hand was up on the swing.
Okay. We can get to recruit
Oh,
Toastmaster for next week. Speakers are Jill Roaring.
Oh,
Are you around, Jill?
I better, I better kick out of that because we have vehicle problems. I may not have a vehicle while Steve is gone.
Okay, and we got Mark Campos and Mike Florio. So we got a few, and the alternate speaker is Len Thornton. So Len probably will be.
Len, you're on the docket.
He is on the docket. Yes, thank you. A couple of things I want to talk about before we go into announcements. I would like to see a little more of checking in online, confirming your roles online. I think some of the Toastmasters have, it's summertime, I got stuff to do. Just take a second, maybe even after this meeting and when you go home or go into your office and just bring up the website and check off for the Toastmaster to come that you'll be available. Saves a lot of work and chasing to get the schedule solidified. Definitely when you are out and about, I would like everybody to talk up Toastmasters a little bit. Dave Licata has been so good at doing that because he likes to talk a lot and he sees a lot of people and brings in people, but definitely talk it up like Tracy. She brought in an intern today. So bring in some more guests, talk out to your friends, and Beth has the book.
We do need to find out if Toastmasters is going to have a booth at the Celtic Festival to promote Toastmasters.
Yes, so we had talked about this in the officer meeting, if we're going to have a booth at the Celtic Festival. We would need to get volunteers to man the booth, certainly. It is for 2 days, I believe, Saturday and Sunday. So if we could get, I think we should. I don't know what the feeling in the room is. The booth is free, so there is no costs. All we have to do is, maybe split a couple hours, and then we can wander around the Celtic Festival, right, afterwards. So that could also be incentive.
Of course, there are a few members that are already. Yeah.
There are members that would not be manning the table because they are actually involved in organization of the Celtic Festival and working in the Celtic Festival. Our past president will be doing the traffic control, the dancing traffic controller. So apparently that got on video last year, and he is looking forward to that again. Apparently he has any opportunity to dance and act silly. Apparently he's all for that.
Someone videotapes him this year because I never saw him.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
Yeah.
I would like to do the table. I don't know if anybody else has interests or is opposed really to the table person. So, okay, Jackie is willing to help. I will go, of course, put some hours in. And the folks online hopefully would also be willing to do so. So if no one's opposed, okay, we'll do a table. And then we'll put some hours in and I'll get a schedule so that way we can closer to, so people can know their schedule a little later, because sometimes it's too advanced to solidify things. But yeah, so we'll do it. She'll make a spot for us.
Send you a chat.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we'll make them. Okay, does anybody else have any more announcements today? I know we had one for the Shakespeare in the Park.
Yes, can I echo that again? Thank you, Gerald, for bringing it up, just because we do have a little bit of time. For anybody who came in a little late, I know we had some latecomers. Next on the docket for our social activities is fitting with today's theme because it's a midsummer. So I'd like to toast to the midsummer and celebrate one another. I don't know if we did a toast today.
Did not do a toast today.
So here we are at Toastmasters. And if you do come out to Shakespeare in the Park, you can toast with us. If you'd like to bring a picnic, you are most welcome. It is quite a show, and Midsummer Night's Dream, if you've never seen it, is full of fantasy and farce and whimsy. We already have 4 guests who are non-Toastmasters who are joining us. And so it is a great social and recruiting get together. And whether you have attended many, many times or you've never even heard of it and you're maybe curious or anywhere in between, if you do have questions, please let me know, because it's a fun time. Even if you're not a Shakespeare fan, it's wonderful to get together, and especially if you enjoy performance. And it's right along the lake, the little lake there, and it's promising to be a good hot weekend next weekend. And the show only goes on for a few more weeks, so this might be your last chance. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
If there's no further announcements, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned. Try to make it. Okay. Be more work than that before. Like, do less. Criticism of such ways opposed to readers here as well, certainly. Probably it helps with public speaking. Also,